Hello, everybody. I'm Elise. There's another truth here on YouTube. I hope that you're doing well and that you're taking great care of yourselves. I will not be watching the Dancing with the Devil Netflix show whatsoever. I will have to rely on third party opinions to draw my own opinion. I would rather not at this point. I think there are just some things I should stay away from, and that's one of them. I guess it's important to have an open mind when watching these, that all it is, it's a story from somebody's perspective or people's perspective, and it has a certain aim to it, I guess. But I, the way that this was conceived, the way that this was produced, and all the nonsense, it's just best I stay away from it. There are just some things I can't. I'd rather not, and I'd rather stay in ignorance around that. I will have to, again, rely on some of your opinions and thoughts to make my own conclusions about things, at least in connection with Katie Joy. Now, this video is a little bit of a mix between Katie Joy and some personal stuff. So bear with me, and as always, there is a content warning that anything I say here could be potentially triggering. I do talk about mental illness, doxing, abuse, and so on. So please, if these are triggering, come back at another time. I understand. I am feeling really kind of out of it today. I have a lot to do, and I've been a little bit busier than normal. So I have an important meeting in about an hour and a half or so, and I'm always a little bit nervous before these things. It's something that is beneficial for my well-being. It's something I'm a part of, something I'm doing. And I always get a little scared before I do it. I mean, I suppose that when if we didn't care, we wouldn't be so scared. Because there's always that fear. Am I going to let that person down? Am I going to mess this up? There are other people dependent on me. And so it can get a little scary. But I'm just going to have to put my anxiety and hang it up for that time that I'm having that meeting, because I can't let this fear overwhelm me every time that I start or continue or engage in some project. But I didn't sleep very well, needless to say. Now, going back to my own video about Katie Joy and her nasty messages. I mean, it's not my intention to exaggerate anything or to create a level of drama around it that could upset people. But I really found those messages, those screenshot messages, the content of those and her behavior in those very, very disturbing. And so disturbing, I thought I was going to be sick. And the aggressive, visceral nature of those posts, I mean, they're so personal. Why are they so personal for her? Why would she shame somebody's supposed sexuality and any possible health conditions that might be related to any activity. Why would she use that? I mean, what connection did she have with Hannah Shin anyway? Absolutely nothing that I could come up with, other than she's angry with the man who's suing her that she thinks is a threat. But I'm wondering if it's really not the men that KJ wants to connect with. I do think that she gravitates toward women, and maybe it is because she's jealous of them, because they obviously, she not jealous but envious. She has proven time and time again that her envy has no bounds, and that anybody doing better than her, especially the people that she's emotionally taken advantage of for cash, and she feels like she owns them and owns their experiences, but she's exceptionally jealous, envious of them. If she sees them, if she thinks they are still tethered to some kind of cult, and of course, again, there's a lot of Katie Joy's own true story in this. Katie is 45 years old. Katie probably has experienced some of those terrible things that she had virtually wished on that person. I mean, just to receive that kind of message, even by mistake, must have been harrowing. I mean, it would have been for me. I would be like, what? And Katie Joy does cyber stalk and harass people. She does want to own people. This isn't about allowing people to have their autonomy or anything. Katie doesn't really fight for that. That's just a performative gesture to manipulate people into thinking she actually cares. She doesn't care about victims of cults. And where does this obsession with cults really come from anyway? If you go over to Suzanne's YouTube, she did a great video yesterday. Not getting into a lot of things specifically, but she's given some kind of insight into some of this. I'll repost her video in the description box when I'm finished with recording mine. So, now I'm thinking I should watch Dancing with the Devil, because I want to see what Katie Joy's obsession over this is all about. Or maybe I'm just seeing things that aren't there. But I do think in a lot of ways it's obvious she hates women, and she particularly hates successful women who don't need her, or that Katie can't use to forward her own agenda. And I do think that she has a weird, almost like love obsession with some of these women. Katie Joy is very inappropriate and has no boundaries. And it's almost sadistic. And to bring that element of something that is so personal like sexuality and sexual health, um, it makes me wonder about other things with KJ. And KJ is so ignorant of her own bodily functions and anatomy, and I blame that on her lack of interest in recognizing her own things, and it could be related to trauma, so I'm going to tread lightly around that. As somebody commented on my previous video, and I agree because I've experienced this taking antibiotics can cause yeast infections. Okay, they do. I experienced that um, quite recently, and I know it's a lot to say because I was on a 10-day course of antibiotics. I don't use antibiotics often. I don't have these kind of issues normally, but I was also um, recovering from the flu. I had that upper respiratory infection that I needed to address with antibiotics. I had a 10-day supply, and I took the whole course of it as prescribed. And yes, the doctor warned me. The doctor warned me. I did everything I could, but my immune system. So somebody who's immunocompromised, especially if they have HIV or more advanced HIV or AIDS, they tend to get more yeast infections. And for Katie to even use that as an attack against somebody is so despicably um, disconnected from the pain and suffering of others. It's just mind-boggling to me. The depths of which she will go to use anybody's pain and suffering from that, even if it's her own experience with that. And I think she is projecting a lot there. And she is paranoid. I don't say that as a joke. I say that because I really think she is paranoid. She and that's part of having um, the problems that she's having at the moment. But to sexually harass, in my opinion, sexually harass somebody and make these kinds of accusations and attack somebody like that, no matter who it is behind on the other side of that, it's disgusting. It's awful. And another thing that she mentions, she acts as if she still seems to think that she should be concerned with what men think of her. Honestly, and it's no disrespect toward men. In my own defense, there are a lot of things wrong with the world. There are a lot of things that need to be fixed. And yes, I'm one of these fuck the patriarch type of people. Um, but Katie's got to understand that her self-worth should not come from anybody else but herself. Nobody can give that to her other than herself. And to say that, in other words, menopausal women should look forward to being dumped. That's the reason why somebody was dumped. I don't care if it was Robert Chin. I don't care if it was Smokey the Bear. I don't give a fuck. Although I'd prefer Smokey the Bear over religious leaders like that anytime. But the fact of the matter is, like, menopause for some women isn't fun. Okay, I'm personally not there yet. I still have some time to go. I wish it would happen. I'm afraid of the symptoms and what the psychiatric symptoms will do, but I have enough good care right now for my mental health to be able to override that. It would have been a more difficult process for me if I was not already in treatment dealing with my self confidence and self esteem issues. People's bodies changes. I don't look what I did at 20. I don't even want to be 20. I don't want to be 30. I don't even want to be 40. I am happy that I am in my 50s now. I am happy. This has been other than the birth of my children and having my children, but for me, independently, as a woman, as a person, where I felt whole, my 50s have been starting off on a great foot. And, you know, um, there've been a lot of turning points since I've turned 50. And the fact that I reached 50, given my mental health stuff and other issues, it's a fucking miracle. But it's also been hard. But I would say it's a miracle. Yeah, it's a miracle in many ways, but it's also because maybe of luck, hard work, whatever. I'm just glad I'm here. I'm glad I'm here. I do not intend to go anywhere. But, we never know what happens in the future. I just take it one day at a time. But that's how I feel today. Why would my bodily processes of aging make me feel differently about my worthiness as a person? Yeah, society's unfair. There's a lot of ageism. But I'm not worried whether a man finds me attractive or not at this point. To me, an interpersonal connection is more important. I have that, but my looks have dramatically changed from the time I was 20. They have. I'm on medication. It's genetics. Um, it's age. It's all those things, and that is okay. I, I have choices. I could have chased looking like 20 until 50. I didn't do that because my mental health was falling apart. That is what is more important to me. Those things I had to take care of. Why on earth would I say that once I hit menopause, I wouldn't be attractive anymore? I am attractive in my own way. It may not be to scores of men, but who cares? I don't need their approval. I don't need their approval at all. It's not a man hating thing. I'm just saying I don't need their approval. I don't need anybody's approval to exist, as I am. Now I am vain, but at the same time I'm not really doing anything about it. Because at the end of the day, what's important to me is, like, for me it's good skincare. I have an excellent skincare routine. But that's for me. That's not to impress my neighbor. It's not, I mean, I wouldn't impress any of my neighbors that way anyway. I have great neighbors. But to impress people on the street or anything, I don't give a shit. I do my own hair care and my skin care because it makes me feel good. Skin is an important organ of the body, one of the most important. So I have to take good care of that, you know? I have a weight problem. People like, oh, you're this, you're not worthy. Of course I'm still a worthy human being. But there are reasons for this. But do I say that I'm not worthy to have a place and space to think? I may not get all the opportunities because of those things, but I'm going to find them. I'm going to find those opportunities. Not every opportunity is good for me, but I'm going to find those opportunities um, to speak out, speak up, participate. You know, I want that for everybody. I want everybody. Believe me, I have those internal thoughts. Oh, I'm not worth it. Once I hit menopause, it's over. That's bullshit. Then what am I saying to everybody else after 50? No, it's ridiculous. So what if why would KJ be concerned whether someone else has menopause because of what some man thinks about that because of their past behavior? That's that man's problem. That's not the woman's problem for going through menopause. So KJ still ties her self-worth to what other people think. That's her fucking problem. But she has to get over that because she is 45 years old. Now, a lot of us, listen, I'm emotionally immature. I have a lot of growing still to do. That's not a disrespect of myself. There is a level of emotional intelligence I have. I've done some of my own testing, especially professional testing and things like that. Yes, there is. I do have a good level of emotional intelligence, but I still have those things inside of me that still thinks that what I look like um, should be important. But I'm not doing that to impress anybody. So, like, what's going on in my mind and what I'm actually doing, they don't match because I know better. It's just stuff that it's because I was teased when I was a kid. I was teased mercilessly, But I was always a cute kid, and I turned into a very beautiful woman. But I wouldn't say I've lived a hard adult life, so to speak. I mean, I've there are things about my mental health aspect and some of the things from my childhood that still affect me, no doubt. But I don't think that had a real impact on how I looked. I've been pretty much sheltered, you know. So I mean, I really can't complain there. I guess Katie Joy is going to have to come to grips with how she values her own life and her own. And I'm not here to really sympathize with her because she's hurt so many people on here, and just across the board. She is a destructive person. And in my opinion, her whole interaction with this 7M, her whole engagement and interaction with this whole 7M thing, you know, she blew her family's future away. She blew her child's future away by doing that. And there's going to come a time where he's going to want to divorce her because I believe that child is smart enough to know. He's already knows where he is loved and where he isn't, where he's being neglected and where he isn't. And he's going to want that um, divorce from his own part of his family. Because I do think she's going to try to hang on to him as much as she can for any kind of benefit. And It's so much like what Dee Dee Blanchard did to Gypsy. I'm not excusing Gypsy's horrifying murder of her mother. Okay. I'm just saying that what Dee Dee did to Gypsy, it's horrifying, and there are some similarities between that and how KJ kind of uses her son for some lap to get things, you know. Um, so I don't know. That lady has a lot going on. She has a lot going on, and I think between this latest outburst, um, especially that 7M lawsuit, this unfortunately all is going to bankrupt her for sure. Her child's not going to have anything for his future, and she will continue to live in her fantastical world of insatiable power over others. But there are consequences in coming, and that's by her own undoing. Anyway, thank you very much for listening to me today. I hope that you continue to have a great day and take care of yourselves, okay? Thanks a bunch. Bye bye.